Hey, Awakening Truthers. Welcome to Video from a Plain Truth. This is probably one of the hardest videos. This is the hardest video I've ever done. Hopefully I can get through it. Alright, so let's get into this. Alright, December 2nd, 2018. 1 day ago. Number of campfires missing people drops to 25. 25 people missing. Remember these numbers, folks. Oh, shut up. Alright. Number 3 weeks after the campfire began raging in Northern California, the Butte Sheriff announced the number accounted for as 25 people. Now, first of all, we have first-person account saying they're not looking for people anymore because they say the dental office inside Paradise is gone, so they cannot do body counts. So they're not even looking anymore, okay? Told that personally by people in the front lines. Alright. The list of missing has fluctuated since the fire began, reaching a high of 1,276 people missing. The missing began at 35, returning to double digits Friday when it shrunk from 196 to 49. How do they know they're not doing body counts? Now, folks, I also went into a Red Cross Center at the Butte County Fairgrounds, and we have on interview, which I'll get out here in a bit, of a security guard that was guarding it, national security guard called First Guard. They were in all the 4 Red Cross sites that were set up. In that site, they had the norovirus people in blue tents behind him. He said there was 90 people in that camp, about 300 in the other camp. They were closing down the camp we were at Butte County the next day. Where were the people going? He did not know. So there's 4 camps, and we had 1 in 300, another 90. So we're going to say there's 150 in a camp. That's 600 people accounted for. 600 in camps, okay? Not official. I'm just conjecturing out from what I know of 90 and 1. He said 300 another. 300 and 100 is 200, 150. So we'll use 150 times 4 to get 600 people. All right, here they're playing with the numbers again. Stands at 88, another sacred number. 42 people have been tentatively identified. 41 positively identified. So 42 plus 41 is 83. At least 196 people still on the missing list. Death toll remains at 88. Bullshit. Now, the other thing that we need, well, let's finish this. All right, residents to re-enter Magalia and Concow on Sunday, lifting some evacuation orders. It burned 153 acres. All right, so let's go over and see what they're talking about here. So we go to the population of Paradise. All right, here's Paradise. This is only the incorporated town, okay? And they're not talking about the unincorporated areas. This is what the game they're playing as well. So here's the number in 2000, 26,682. 26,682 is the number that they're saying of residents. And you can see it's been flatlining since 1990. Yet the victims we identified, we have on record, we're going to be publishing it here shortly, told us to a person the population was much greater. The town had been growing lately. There was a lot of people who wanted to get away, who moved up there. There was large gun owners. Their guns were torched. We got that on record as well. They effectively took away their guns by torching their homes and the people. But let's look at these census polls here, okay? So we have here, this is a census poll from census.gov, Paradise. Now, this is including the unincorporated areas of Cohasset, Magalia, and these other areas which are not being mentioned. And they show a number of 46,200 people, and this is as of 2010. 2010 consensus. All right, here, 2010 consensus. Okay, so we got 2010 consensus of 46,200 people, housing units, 22,000. So there's 2 people in each house about, under 454 square miles. All right. So we go on that same site and we see Butte County, April 1st, 2010, and we have 220,000 people. And so they've said, this is their official statement, that as of July 1st, 2017, the population had grown by some 10% to 229,000. 229,000, round up to 230 minus 220, we're going to say 10%. We're going to add 10% to this number. All right, so let's just round it up to 50,000, even though we need to get accurate numbers on this because we're the accountants. We're the ones chronicling the genocide, folks. This is what we're doing now. This is our job. I'm sorry. All right, and this is the State of the Nation report. This is the date of December 2nd yesterday. The story's getting out. And we got to question this stuff because they're not being truthful here in these reporting of these operations. State of the Nation is a right-wing, Trump supporting, hey, we're going to drain the swamp. Everything's going to be okay. You guys can go back to having your lives. But I don't trust the site as far as I can throw it. Paradise Lost is the term I'm using. They're using my term. Paradise Demolished, they're changing the term to pyroterrorism. This is the campfire picture. Yes, apparently we don't have any documentation, but we have to verify what they're saying. It was like the folks in Paradise were on high-rise bars on windows and their doors were bolted shut from the outside. We do know it was genocide. We have first-person accounts that the cars were in one lane. They sat there and then they were torched. We also know that it started at 6:30 in the morning, and by 8:30 in the morning the attacks got much greater, and they waited till everybody was in their cars. They waited till the kids were in the school buses before they torched them. This is first-person accounts we have. We have bodies in cars that were melted through the seat springs, and they had to look down in the cars to find the bodies. I'm sorry, but this is what the victims are telling us, and we need to get it out there. I'm sorry. All right, so now this is what really chafes me. This is from an intelligence analyst and former U.S. military officer. Who is saying this? We can write anything we want. This is accurate information, needs to be put out, you guys. You need to say names. You can't just put something down and say, oh, it's somebody we aren't going to tell you. No, they have to come clean and tell their name, okay? Here's what really happened in Paradise, okay? This is the Rothschild crime syndicate. No, it's not the Rothschilds, it's the Jesuits. There's a lot of people out there talking about the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, but they do not take it to the next level for whatever reasons. Stop talking about the Rothschilds. They're the bankers. They're the Court-Hof-Judens to the Vatican and the Jesuits. Let's stop talking about the Rothschilds, and let's stop talking about the religious purging of all Christians and heretics. The fourth vow of the Jesuits. Read it for yourself, folks. It's extermination time. That's what they're doing. All right, they wanted for land, gold, mineral rights, and UN agenda implementation. That's probably true. There's multiples. There's also lumber. There's also the 5 mega dams they're putting in California. There's also the railway lines, the resources. California is being turned into a resource extraction company, actually. And Paradise, either they're staking their claim or they're putting something serious up there we'll get into. But let's stop talking about the bankers. The bankers aren't running it. International Banking Cartel, Google Bank of International Settlement in Geneva, Switzerland, owned, yes, by the Rothschilds, who are the bankers, the treasurers for the Vatican. Let's take it up a notch, folks. Let's stop talking about the Rothschilds. All right? So taking it up. So here they say the banking cartel and U.S. nations by large and small intelligence agency says. Now here's where it gets really bullshit. This is a picture they're using to get to you inside. This is from Iraq, folks. This is a picture from Iraq. This is not a picture from what happened in Paradise. Same thing. This is not, we've seen this picture before. We've been reporting on this for a while. So you have to throw out this article when they're bullshitting you with the pictures they're putting in and a story uncited by anyone. People, there's the biggest story of the year, bar none, and it's huge, so you got to get it right, State of the Nation, and you're not getting it right. You're not telling the story. All right, Operation Torch California. So this is November 28th. Looks like the State of the Nation picked up this story. A little matter of genocide, folks. Same thing that happened to the Native Americans. Same things happened all over the world. Same thing that happened in Iraq. Same thing that happened in Afghanistan. They're just turning their sights on us. We don't think the United States, people in this country could be attacked. Think again. All right, so this is the Getty fire. Again, they're saying Torch America. They're using it, but they're not talking about what just happened in Paradise here. That's why I have problems, is they're not being accurate and truthful. They're not showing you what they're going. They go very heavy into the spraying. This is another thing the victims told us that we interviewed 2 days ago that we'll be putting on record here, that they saw massive, massive geoengineering spraying. They saw skies being sky painted like they've never seen before, circles and all sorts of stuff. And I'm going to put pictures here at the end of this of what we took and what they gave us of pictures we have of what happened on the day we were there. It was massive spraying as well. All right, so the Millennium Report, I guess they're going after Moonbeam Brown. Do they talk about him being a Jesuit minister? No. They talk about Gavin Newsom, the new governor, being a Jesuit minister? No. They talk about Donald Trump being a Fordham Jesuit school, Bill Clinton, Georgetown Jesuit school, all the foreign services, the military go to Emerson Foreign Service School in Georgetown. Do they talk about this? No. They talk about a globalist. Jerry Brown's the most wanted. Brown. They're not talking about facts. So they sell you the headline and they don't provide the facts. They talk about geoengineering, and then this is another bullshit. This is another bullshit, folks. This is not a picture of paradise. Everybody's going to look at this picture and say, oh, look at the fire coming and look at all these homes that were allegedly torched. See again, Operation 21, it's misleading. It's not accurate reporting. We cannot, they can be picked off, and everybody says, well, you're not using real pictures later on. And so they discount the story. And I'm not saying these guys are doing this on purpose, but their journalism is extremely lacking, and we have to be accurate. All right, we got another number here we need to flesh out. So this is from The Guardian. I think this is a date of Saturday, the 17th November 2018. So we're talking about 2 weeks ago. 52,000 was the number displaced among the country's deadliest fire in a century. A list of missing jumps by hundreds once again. So again, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, they're saying 52,000 were displaced. Now the 52,000, let's start using that number, because 52,000 is what the area of Paradise, the incorporated and incorporated areas, the number is very close to that. I said 50, let's use 52, because that's the total number now. We're going to take 52,000 people that are being displaced, reported missing. Now, the other thing to note is we went to the Walmart where they had people in tents and whatnot, and we saw maybe 30 tents. We saw people living in RVs. This was last week, 7-8 days ago. Went back 2 days ago, and they're all gone. They're also, at the, as I mentioned earlier, at the Butte County Fairgrounds. The security guard told us that they would be bugging out and moving people, leaving. People would be leaving in a day. That was 90 people, including the norovirus people that were in tents. Where are they going? He did not know. All right, so we also have a first-person account from a tow truck driver who said when he went into the town on his first trip in on Sunday, which was 3 days after the event. So the event started on 9/11, 11/9, and then 3 days after on 11/12 on Sunday, he went in there, and he says that I said, how many people did you see dead? And he says, I got in there and I saw at least 200 people right from the beginning. It's much, much more than that. We have it on record. We'll be releasing that shortly as soon as I can get it down, uploaded, and out to you guys. All right, so 52,000 people missing. And let's go back to that USA article. All right, and here they talk about people missing drops to 25. So went from 52,000 people going out to 25. The missing has fluctuated since the fire began on November 8th, reaching a high of 1,276 people. So 1,276 people, right? 52,000 displaced. All right. So 52,000 minus 1,000 is 51,000 people they're saying, or 1,000 people they're saying missing, and 52,000 has been displaced. We can't find these people anywhere, folks. We went to the shelters. There's not there. We accounted for maybe a few hundred people in the shelter, but nowhere near these numbers. They're nowhere near these numbers. The people we've talked to, they're missing people. They can't find them on Facebook. They're not Twittering. There's many lost. There's no one to report to. They're folding up camps. There's no one to talk to. We saw no local emergency services whatsoever. It's all militarized police. To a person, they said they've never recognized the personnel. We saw at least 20 MRAPs from Afghanistan, military machines with machine guns on them, on top of them as well. It's a militarized operation. They've totally locked down Paradise. You cannot get up into there at all. And so we have to be accountable. So let's do the numbers as we close this out. All right, so this I just posted on the Facebook page, and thank you for supposedly Shelley for fleshing this most important untold news of genocide out, so that we can all learn and understand, folks. All right, so I said 52,000. Here I've got 46,200 because I was taking that from the consensus report. We know it's larger. USA count is 3,141. Okay, we get 43,059 unaccounted for. 43,059. Let's bump that up since we now know we're going to use 52,000. So we're going to add 6,000 to the number. 6,000 plus 43 is 49,059. Close to 50,000 people. 50,000 people are unaccounted for. And there's no one keeping records anymore. They're closing down the Red Cross. FEMA has put in a massive, massive operation. They're coming in. We saw hundreds and hundreds of PG&E trucks going into Paradise, putting in something up there. And then they have a huge staging area out in Chico where they're bugging out today. And they're going to be moving over 20 semi-trailers, massive 5-hitch semi-trailers, likely moving into paradise. They're taking it over. All right. So we're going to use the number over 50,000. Let's use the number over 50,000 are missing, lost, or torched, or dead. And I'm sorry to tell you folks, they're dead and no one's accounting for them. So we're going to set up a Facebook missing page. We're going to get people to start recording this. We are the recorders and the accountants of this genocide. All right. And use credible sources, please. The Millennium Report, State of the Nation. I don't know why you're using false pictures like you're doing. I don't know why you don't get into deeper stories than the globalists, bankers, but that's up to you. Okay. This is our reporting. This is what we know. This is boots on the ground. We had 2 fire captains, 20-year veterans that came with us. We had Deborah Tavares, the ace, truth reporter from StopTheCrime.net. She'll be reporting on this soon, but this is genocide, folks. They're coming after us. They hit, just in the past 14 months, so you know what's going on here in California, okay? They hit Lake County north of us here. They've hit it 4 times in the past 4 years. That's where they're putting in the mega dams, okay? They hit up in Redding twice this summer. Redding, the car fire. Remember the car fire? Because they want to get rid of cars because they're putting the trains up there. Mega cities 2030. They want to put a rail train, the Great Redwood Trail, putting trains up all the way to Eureka with industrial rail lines, not passenger rail lines, but industrial resource extraction. We're going to get into the story about Red Emerson. Google Red Emerson, richer than Bill Gates, largest lumber owner in the country, and also owns all the Sierra Pacific lumber up in their area. We got stories on that coming up too. And also the mega dams, 5 mega dams going in as well. So they've hit, let's do the recount here. They've hit Lake County this year in the past 14 months. They've hit Redding. They've hit Santa Rosa, Sonoma County. They've hit Santa Barbara. Then they hit it again with Rains, Goleta. Then they hit Malibu. They hit Thousand Oaks. And now they've hit Paradise. This is a matter of genocide. This is the first time we've actually seen a whole entire town that was purposely. This is the only strike, directed energy strike that I know of, and following this since the beginning, that occurred during the daylight, 6:30 a.m. and by 8:30 a.m. they had people sitting in right lanes in cars parked, and they torched them. And the stories out are horrible. I got to tell you one more because this is a first-person account. They saw the school bus with children on top of children trying to flee the fires, and they were torched, folks. They want to inflict as much pain as they possibly can. We need to wake up. You say, what can I do? Everything, anything. Share this. Get it out. Get people speaking about this. We need to be the accountabilities. We are the witnesses to genocide. They're coming after us, and not only California. They've hit Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They've hit Fort McMurray up in Montreal. They've hit North Carolina. They hit Oakland Hills in 1991, the same time they hit Iraq in the Trail of Tears, where they burned out 3 miles of cars. They've hit China. They've hit Portugal. They've hit Spain. I mean, this is going on. They've hit in parts in Africa. They're hitting us with directed energy weapons. They're flooding out the coast. This is the takeover of all the lands. This is Agenda 21 on steroids. This is the Georgia Guidestones, where they've stated there's 97% too many people in the world, and they put it in the finest granite in Everton County, Georgia, 2.5 hours northeast of Atlanta, Georgia. They put in stone in the Georgia Guidestones, number 1 of their 10 commandments in 8 different languages. We have to reduce the population, or keep the population at 500 million people. Take 7 billion, divide by 500 million people, and you get their number. This is what they're doing. This is the Georgia Guidestones. I actually went and visited it. It was very serious intention, and somebody put up these stones, 19.5 feet tall, weighing over 2.5 tons in 8 different languages, saying we got to keep the population at 500 billion. Pope Francis was the first Jesuit in 600 years to be the Pope. What's the agenda? The agenda is world domination and to exterminate all heretics and Christians as laid out by the Jesuit fourth vow. I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip up their stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls. I'll leave it here for you to read the rest. It is ugly. And they're counting on us being quiet. Well, I, for one, and others of the truth movement are not going to be quiet. Here we have more first-person accounts of the number of populations being much, much greater than we are being told. and we need to wake up that this is genocide. This has been a murder scene, and they've covered it up. They've locked it down. We are being attacked in California, as I've said, from many different directions with directed energy weapons. The meme is going around everywhere, yet they love to mock us, folks. They are just mocking the crap out of us. 60 Minutes, hell on earth. Look at the football game, bread and circuses, Paradise Inferno. Oh, except on the West Coast. I mean, and this is really important that it's not just Paradise. These other surrounding areas got hit as well. Can you imagine if you got torched out of your place and you were able to get out and you're in these outlying areas and they're not even talking about your area? They're not even speaking about where you live and what happened to you. You're all alone. You're isolated. We met several people. These people look like, I would imagine, looked like they were coming out of hell. They were lost. They were confused. They don't know how to have any context. And then there's this website curiously being set up about adopt paradise families. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's something to hide the body count. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But look at how they torch paradise. They even do it. They mock it by doing what they say they're going to do. We're burning up paradise. And then they celebrate it on freaking soda cans. Pitch black, code red, voltage, revolution. What are they telling us, folks? They are telling us they are pre-planning, just like on the back of the dollar bills, 9/11 is on the dollar bills. How about this? Live wire. I mean, could it get any more clear that they're putting it in our face, the agenda of what they're doing to us? They're doing to us all. They're starting in California, as I said, for resource extermination or resource allocations for their own agenda. Look at, they even put out beer, resilience beer. Look at how quick they get out. Then you got Aaron Rodgers with Butte Strong, yeah. And then you got James Lee Witt, former Clinton FEMA director, with 666 on the news. This is how they do it. The coroner in the Sandy Hook was named Joe Carver. Paradise Lost is the book by Milton they seem to be using. Innocence once lost can never be regained. Darkness once agreed upon can never be lost. We must pray for the victims. We must speak out. Also to be noting, there's another excellent report from Michelle. There were drills going on back in two previous events in 2017, and we had reports there were drills going on the day before on November 8th as well. Military police everywhere. Machine guns, MRAPs everywhere. The California Office of Emergency Services and FEMA put in massive camps here. They're not going anywhere. We heard from the Red Cross they're leasing for 6 months to a year, but they're bugging out of the camps. They're moving the people out of the camps, but they're staying there for 6 months to a year. They're putting up all this chain link fence with screening on it and going up very fast as well, we're noting. We'll get into in the next one. But these people were genocided. They were stopped in their tracks. They did it during the daylight when most people would be traveling at 8:30 in the morning, and the people were literally torched in their cars, as I covered in the previous videos. I'm sorry I can't be more positive, but this is just what has happened, and we need to wake up to what has been going on and what it is going on. They don't do body counts. They call us collateral damage. The reason they call them soldiers is they're sold to die, and that's why they give them dog tags, and then they celebrate them as heroes. Well, the Veterans Administration turns them away when they say they have PTSD, and then they take away all their guns because they tell them that they're too psychotic and they can't be having guns. These are our veterans that are traumatized as well. And I talked to another person who was at the Paradise scene who was a Vietnam vet, and it was sending him back into post-traumatic stress syndrome or battle fatigue or shell shock, they used to call it as well. And here we talk about how they could hit with the homes and they didn't touch a mailbox. And how could they hit the homes? It was directed acute energy weapon. None of the animals were left. The animal rescuers were not allowed to go back in the property. Here's a map of PG&E. They're setting this up. This came out like right after they're setting up PG&E for the fall. Say they didn't turn off the power. Magalia, they did turn off the power. Paradise, they did not turn off the power. We're first-person accounts telling us. This is the heat map of what hit and what didn't hit according to them, coming out recently. And you can see that certain areas were hit where certain others weren't. It was a very targeted operation. But as the tow truck driver spoke to me, and he says, Paradise, there's nothing left. There's nothing left in the town. And again, he said the first thing he came in, he saw at least 200 bodies. First account, first person report, his very first foray into Paradise after the tragedy. And then we got Dianne Feinstein's husband, Bloom. Oh, he gets all the contracts for the high-speed rails. They said it's about resources. but they don't do body counts. We're not doing collateral damage. We're the ones to be responsible for reporting what the numbers are. We know that this count is bogus and bullshit. We need to bring the number up into at least 50,000, and we need to speak out and speak out now, because paradise has been lost. It's torched. It will not be long before we're next. Another very interesting side note is that the Oroville Dam that had the break in the dam was blown, actually. We're finding out the dam was blown. Is just over 35 miles away from in the same Sierra foothills as Paradise. And also in the center of Paradise is the Gold Nugget Museum as well. And another interesting sidebar on top of all this is that Mount Ararat, you remember the Bible, Mount Ararat, where the ark landed after the waters subsided on Mount Ararat? Well, just about 30 miles due east, northeast of Paradise is Mount Ararat. Well, it's the men in black that are running the show. The Oroville Dam, the Beale Air Force Base is right down the corner. Walmart, the wall, Trump's building the wall. We got Wall Street, we got Walmart. They're putting up walls to keep us in. Also, that the IRS 5-6 years ago made a law that anybody owing over $50,000 in IRS debt can have and will have their passport revoked. That's another evidence that they're going to be keeping us in. When I began my career on Wall Street at the New York Stock Exchange, the senior executive took me up to the 7th floor bar, told me, son, you either pray or you pray. You're either at the table or you're on the table. Sam Walton worked for U.S. Naval Intelligence, built out the Japanese internment camps, then founded Walmart. They're all in bed together. The wall is the main theme going on here. All the retail stores, 900 of them, could be turned over to re-education centers. This is not a joke. We are not pretending. We are not playing any games. This is real. Walmart is evil. This is all part of the agenda, all part of the plan. So here we see, in closing out, we're seeing actual pictures that were provided for us from the victims themselves. This was taken inside the fire zone, inside the murder zone, and you can clearly see that these blue lights and these lasers were directed energy weapons. The blue excites with the dust and the toxic soot being brought up, and then you can see the laser lights. And you can see the blue here, that's some in the trees, and it's all reflecting of the blue lasers. Here you can see the lasers torching a tree in front of a Kmart. The Kmart caught on fire. First-person accounts, first-person stories. This was a genocide attack brought in broad daylight. They have no shame. And then we have these pictures when we were there on December 2nd. You see the militarized police everywhere. Couldn't get in. Again, there's militarized police, no local people we saw, local emergency or police at all. But here you can see, again, the night we saw, you look at the triangles. Those are big, huge. TR-3B reverse engineered, part of the secret program they've got up there with their cloaking devices as well. So as you can see from this picture here, there's massive ones up there, and we've been chronicling these for quite some time. Look at the trail coming out the back, and then when you look at the fine work of industrial surrealism, who back in 2014 started chronicling, you can see the release points, how they release the vapors coming out for the back, the chemicals, the plastic, for whatever their geoengineering purposes are. So you can see coming right out the back here, you see that right there, the picture right in here, that is coming out of the back of these triangles. And we do know what's happening. We do have these on record. We do know what these machines are. There's many different reasons for them putting them up there and using them to sky paint for their own nefarious purposes. And we do have pictures. They're like the SR-71s, triangles that the military has shown us they have. But we have many, many pictures of these drones now in the sky. So it's no longer conjecture. It's no longer if they're doing that. It is that they are doing that they are using drones, that they are attacking us for genocide purposes, that they think there are too many people in the world, and we know who they are. They're the men in black. They're the ones that want to exterminate 95% of the population, and they're doing it. All right, and then here's more pictures from the victims that sent us out. This was the night of December 2nd. We were there. This is anything. You see the triangle shape in the background of that yellow, folks. This is not normal skies. And then above us were these drones. Looks very, very similar to Elon Musk's photographs or pictures of the alleged launch of his night satellite rocket into space that everybody chronicled. Same type of MO that was seen up here in Northern California and other places. Here's another picture. Maybe that's the space elevator, nanotubes that we were talking about. So be the change we have to see indeed. Man up, get strength. This is what we are called for. Our souls came here to fight this fight. Please, folks, speak out and share with all. Plain truth out. Love one another. Find your tribe. Find others that are awakening and get together, because only they are going to understand. And also, a lot of people are going to be in very difficult and dark places after they learn about this news. So provide comfort and understanding. Let's come together, and let's not bring us apart. Let's come together over this common goal to stop and end the madness. Tag, you're it. Oh, folks, I wish I had better news. All right, we're going to be putting out the interviews of the victims coming out here, and their story will corroborate all that's been said here. More later. Peace. I'm out.